Well, another fine session for India. We've said that quite often in this fourth test match now. We're going to look back at the first session on day 3 on ESPN Cricket for Matchday, powered by Realme X7 5G and X7 Pro 5G. Akshar Patel and Washington Sundar ensuring a lead of in excess of 150. And Washington Sundar just 4 short of what would have been a deserved first test match 100. Ian Bell, Sanjay Manjrekar, both here. Sanjay, just a session that India would have wanted. Just add on to that lead. Just keep England in the field longer.
Absolutely, and you get the impression, or it could be illusion as well, because in the batted so well, the pitch seems to have settled a little bit, and seems like the bite that we saw on day 1 and 2 for spinners has died down a little bit. We just watched the English spinners bulk of that session, but it's really amazing that the Indian cricket system throws out talents like this. Now we have an Akshar Patel who is sort of making an impact with the ball. He's a pure left-arm spinner, but can bat in this fashion. He has a first-class average of 33, 34. He's got 100. He's got plenty of 50s. Washington Sundar as well is of the same variety. He's a proper bowler in the side, but can bat in this fashion. So something is going right in the Indian cricket system that you have these kind of players coming through.
Well, is this a reflection of the pitch getting a bit better, Sanjay says, or is this just England getting flattened by just how that last session of play went yesterday, and not just things not going for them?
A little bit of both. I think they've got to take heart that I thought that batting was outstanding, but that it didn't seem to be lots going on. So they've got to take a bit of confidence from it. Looks a good pitch. But yeah, some excellent batting. And I think Washington Sundar, again, not just with the bat, but that key wicket of Ben Stokes in the first innings. He's had a really good game. And he'll be huge, full of confidence leading this test match. So, yeah, a really good partnership. And that one really hurt England. And now they're, going into bat now with, a day and a half in the field, 38 degrees. There'll be some tired bodies and minds. So they're going to have to play well today. And actually, it's a big day for the English batting lineup, really. It has to, certainly for some individuals, they have to bat well and bat through the day and try and put some pressure back onto India.
I'd like to come back to the point that Sanjay started us off with yesterday in our end-of-day analysis. You had 2 left-handers in Pant and Washington Sundar. Then you had 2 left-handers in Akshar and Washington Sundar, both partnerships in excess of 100. It's effectively just changed the entire course of the game. And at some point, we have to again discuss the difference in quality between spin, and that the off-spinners for England, Root's a part-timer, but Dom Bess has bowled, 17 overs, had gone an over 4 and over, not looked anywhere near the threat that you'd want when your lead spinner comes to India. This is a problem, Ian. How do England address it?
Yeah, it's tough. Well, firstly, I think India have got their selection right, haven't they? We talked about Washington Sundar and the length of their batting lineup on this surface. They've got everything right so far, certainly in the last 2 test matches, actually, as whereas England have got their selections maybe a little bit muddled in these last 2 test matches. Look, yeah, it's a worry. Certainly when they go back to English conditions, they won't be playing 2 spinners, so there's a bit of time. But in these conditions, it's been a concern. And I only think back to top off-spin bowlers, and you look at Ashwin, but I remember obviously played a lot of cricket with Graham Swan. He wanted to bowl left-handers, not right-handers. So it's a bit of a concern that, left-handers, and Joe Root is the guy, the off-spinner that's going to bowl at them. Normally off-spinners much prefer bowling at left-handers. So massive concern. I still believe Bess is a young man. His best years will be ahead of him, and he's got to learn from this experience. And it's been a pretty brutal one for him, to be honest with you, playing against the best players of spin in the world. So, look, it's tough at the moment, but I do feel for him. It hasn't come out right, but he's been way short of the level that you need to be competing against this Indian batting lineup.
Yeah, that's the simple point, isn't it, Sanjay? When you tour India, you need quality spinners. England showed that when Ian Bell accompanied that squad in 2012, but it's nowhere near that sort of quality. Jack Leach is a good spinner, but they need a lot more quality if they are to test India truly and maybe win another series here.
And more specifically, Ronak, more than quality, style of bowlers. And I think that is the key here. And that is the big lesson England should take from the series. If they don't win the series, they lose the series, that they had spinners. They had Moeen Ali there. They had Dom Bess. They had Jack Leach. But Jack Leach and Bess, not the ideal kind of spinner that will revel in these conditions, especially Bess. I remember way back Imran Khan, that Bangalore test match when Sunil Gavaskar played that last innings of his career. He flew down a guy called Iqbal Qasim for the last test match because he had a look at the pitch and he realized this was a ranked turner and he had some good quality spinners in his side. But he flew down Iqbal Qasim because his style of left arm spin was the kind that would work on that particular surface. And that is something that, maybe England could learn. And that move of Imran Khan to fly down Iqbal Qasim actually won them the test match because Iqbal Qasim did the job. And had they gone with the same spinners from the earlier matches, even though they were good, I don't think that would have made much of a difference. So the lesson learned is that when next time you come to India, don't look for quality spinners in England who are doing well or have the potential or have had a great season. Look for a particular type of spinner. And all you need to do to, make a mark, make an impact on Indian turners is have spinners who are accurate and who bowl quickly, over 90 kilometers per hour or at least late 80s kilometers per hour. Don't look for guys who got great guile and artistry and flight and deception and stuff and not accurate. Accuracy and pace, that's all you look for when you bring spinners to India.
Yes, Billy.
Yeah, right. I think it goes a bit deeper for English cricket. I think the problem we have domestically is spinners just don't really get in the game. So you can look through county cricket at the moment and there's probably not a massive list of spinners that fit that bill. I can think of a couple of guys who do well in white ball cricket. And maybe they're the guys that maybe, as you said, we should look for more on these kind of tours, the guys who can bowl at a good pace. But the problem really stems back to domestic cricket at the moment. As a batsman, you don't see high quality spin or rare, minimal overs of it. But also you don't see a lot of overs of genuine pace either. So there's a lot of typical English seamers in county cricket. And also the games aren't particularly long. We see a lot of 2.5 days cricket, so you're not seeing batters bat long periods of time either. So there's a little bit of work to do at home, I think, with English to find these types of bowlers that can be successful in Test cricket around the world.
Can bowlers like Bess and Leach, maybe they bowl a certain pace, can they grow into those bowlers that bowl quicker? Or is that just how you are intrinsically as a spinner? Either you bowl quick or you bowl slightly slower like Kuldeep Yadav does. Can you grow into that sort of bowler, Sanjay?
Leach can become a little quicker. You saw Joe Root without any visible change, or you couldn't see him putting extra effort, but he would just roll his arm over and the ball would. I mean, even this morning he got a ball to really turn and bounce like no other spinner did from England in that session, and that ball was 95 kilometers per hour. That was the quickest ball that he bowled. So you need guys who can naturally bowl quickly. Akshar Patel does that. Shahbaz Nadeem struggled to bowl quickly. Kuldeep Yadav struggles to bowl quickly. So Bess will find it tougher because his bowling style is such. Swan was more of this kind of trajectory, so he could get quicker. And of course, he was a far superior spinner in all ways. Monty Panesar sometimes bowled at 100 kilometers per hour. Jack Leach can get there. Bess, not that easy.
Now, in the absence of the personnel for now, like Ian Bell points out, Sanjay had this interesting conversation with Nikhil Naz on the Tea Time show yesterday, Billy, on what England did in the third test versus what they could have done in this test, where they decided, regardless of conditions, they'll play their best bowlers for the pink ball test. And they went with the three seamers. Yes, it didn't prove to be right. But could they have, now looking in hindsight, it all looks easier. But you pick Bess in a three-man specialist bowling attack. Could you have actually been better served sticking to that and say, let's play our best bowlers, even if Archer's injured, let's play maybe Ollie Stone, play our best bowlers who we have the confidence with to bowl with and not worry too much about conditions. They almost had to play Bess, you'd think, after what happened in the third test, but could they have been better served going the other way?
I think so. I mean, again, like you said, it's easy in hindsight. I think that the one thing I would say looking at this England series, there's been some good bits, but the chopping and changing of a side quite dramatically all the time doesn't make things easy. You look at India now, there's a real, solidness about that group. And there might be one or two changes through to injury or a rotation, but it's only one or two. I think England have chopped and changed a lot. So getting a rhythm and that playing together all the time hasn't been easy. But I agree. I think that was their theory behind the day-night ball, the day-night game. And I think they came into this series that was a real identified one to play our three seamers. But I agree. I think that there's no doubt we're a seamer light on this one. And there's actually been some lovely carry and bounce. And I agree. You're looking in hindsight now with Dom Bess the way he is at the moment. He's just not. He's not really. He's fighting himself, not in the contest. So you probably are better off picking your best bowlers rather than looking at the surface, really. But yeah, it's easy in hindsight. But I think England, again, they've gone from one extreme, one test match to another in this one. So it's been a bit difficult, whereas India have been very consistent, with one change, maybe a rotation here and there, but that is it. And they've picked their best 11, regardless of the surface, every single time.
Well, they've been blessed with the fact that Ben Stokes has put his hand up and been a proper bowler in this test match. All concerns through the first few tests on whether Joe Root is trying to take care of him, whether he's carrying a bit of a niggle, why is he not bowling more? Sanjay, from what we've seen of Ben Stokes, the bowler, this is almost amplifying his case to be a genuine world-class all-rounder, because even though he's there in the team, you think more for his batting. He's a bowler that can have a serious impact if he's bowling full throttle like this.
Yeah, I mean, he's been to India before, but this time, I mean, you can't say that he's got, truckloads of runs, he's got plenty of wickets, but you can see the class of Ben Stokes every time he's out there. You can see he's trying to make things happen. And we exchanged some text messages, didn't we, during the course of that Ben Stokes spell, where very few foreign pace bowlers come to India and they still want to try and find a way to get wickets. And that tactic that we saw in the morning session of bowling bouncers and trying to get Washington Sundar to fend a few or try and get him to pull. So he's somebody who's constantly striving to find ways to get wickets, and you don't see too many of that kind. So it's brilliant to see that kind of an approach. And we've seen his batting, prowess in the series, couple of good innings, and the catching. So this series, from the England point of view, although he hasn't quite taken the series by storm, you can see why Ben Stokes is so highly rated in England. And really, when you look at him, you're looking at somebody who is pretty exceptional as a cricketer.
Yeah, he got some runs as well. It's been a good test match personally for Ben Stokes, even though England find themselves behind it. Both well for England, though, Belly. We were wondering whether Stokes is back to full fitness. Can he bowl 25, 28 overs in an innings if needed? The answer is, at least in the evidence of this test match, he can.
Yeah, this game is very much the Ben Stokes we're used to at home. As I said, he batted much better, much more positive in the innings, and he's probably taken that into his bowling. I think it's been a strange series for Ben. Like, we've seen glimpses of what he is, but not quite the whole, I suppose, the whole package of Ben Stokes that we're used to over the last 2 or 3 years. But this is an instance of what I expect when I think of this England team. When things aren't happening, Ben Stokes makes a breakthrough, and he generally can get, again, the top players out. He's got an incredible angle where he can naturally get the ball to go in, but the hardest part for him is as a batsman is when he starts to get it to go out. So he's quite hard to line up with his angles. But yeah, this is the Ben Stokes that I remember with the ball. This is the guy that, runs through a brick wall for England, drags his team with him when everything's a little bit flat. That's the guy, and the guy we love in this country. So great to see him play like this. Just like you said, it feels like we've underused him with the ball in this test series so far. So quite strange in that way. But yeah, this is Ben Stokes that we will love at home.
Okay, this is the best of Ben Stokes on display. Will it translate into more batting form in the second innings? England would certainly hope so. Now, Washington Sundar has not had much to do, but every time he's been given the job, he's not disappointed. 96 not out now, and we try to wonder what sort of impact these performances will have going forward for both Sundar personally as well as for Indian cricket. Clearly a player on the rise. Sanjay, whose stock is on the rise. We may see a lot more of him in white ball cricket. India looking for perhaps someone who can do a role with both bat and ball in the ODI side. It may be very hard to squeeze Washington Sundar into the test team once Jadeja's fit, but what does this sort of regular impact now do for a player like Washington Sundar going forward?
First of all, what has happened with Washington Sundar, we've been impressed with him in the way he's played in IPL and T20 cricket, and then the revelation came in Australia when he played that innings, and the bowling also was very promising. He's continued his batting form there, got the wicket of Ben Stokes. So I don't know what the future holds for him, because there's so many now options that India have, depending on the surface and the kind of bowling combination that you want. But you look at Washington Sundar and you currently only marvel at how much talent can one body have. He's a young man. And again, I go back to the system, something happening right in Tamil Nadu, where you have somebody like a Ravichandran Ashwin with all the artistry that he has with the ball, and he can bat in this fashion. Washington Sundar, a very classical off spinner, surviving in IPL cricket, in T20 international, making a mark there. And then the batsman, with the kind of bowler that he has. So you've just got to be amazed by the kind of talent that this young man has. His father also was a cricketer. So I guess in the cricketing climate in the house must have helped. His sister, I believe, also plays cricket. So you can just be amazed for the moment with the package of Washington Sundar.
There are those that make runs batting at number 8, Belly, and there are those, and they are number 8s, but there are those that make runs at 8, but you think, can they make runs anywhere? Are they good enough to? Now, Washington Sundar has batted in the top order for Tamil Nadu in domestic cricket. He can be a floater in T20 cricket. From whatever little that you've seen of him, does he strike you as someone who's good enough to bat higher, to perhaps even challenge a batsman, a proper batsman, for his place in the Test side?
Well, that's particularly difficult, isn't it, with this India batting lineup? I mean, the stocks are deep, aren't they? So you'd have to be one serious player. But there's no doubt, watching him play, I've been really impressed. I think there's a calmness for a young player in the situation in this innings in particular. There's a calmness. Technically, he plays well. He hits straight down the ground. There's a full face of the bat a lot of the time. And he plays the pull shot quite well. So there's a lot to like. And again, yeah, I think he's done everything he can. Like with Jadeja being injured, that all you can take is as a young player, if you get an opportunity, try and grab it. And I think he's done that. And he's made these questions come up, hasn't he? Is how do you fit him in, or where does he come in? So brilliant. And again, it just emphasises the depth that India have at the moment in all departments, which is, I suppose, makes the rest of the cricket world quite jealous. So, but from a batting point of view, there's a lot to like. Technique, full face of the bat. And there's no reason why. Certainly is 7. But when you, as a Test side, if you're seeing him at number 8, and Axar Patel at 9, I think that's a bit of a worry. That's a long batting lineup. So, like I said, a very, very fine young player.
Yeah, a lot of lower order batsmen, Sanjay, when they met with pace or bounce, that's when they sort of, change their approach. They perhaps aren't very comfortable. A lot of top order Indian batsmen are okay with pace and bounce. Rohit, Kohli, very good against it. Pujara finds his own way. But to just compare Washington Sundar handling pace against or fast bowling against the Rahane pace short pitch bowling, you just tend to think Sundar looks at ease. He's almost someone who you think, if he grows as a batsman, could challenge for that one vulnerable position, whichever it may be, whether it's Shubman, if he doesn't find form, whether it's Rahane. He's making a case. Is he good enough?
Who knows? Because Indian cricket is filled with such examples, Ronak, because Ravi Shastri came in as a pure left-arm spinner, made his debut in New Zealand, batted at number 8 and 9, and then ended up being a pure batsman at the top of the order. W.V. Raman, coming from Tamil Nadu, from where Ashwin and Washington Sundar come, he also started off being a left-arm spinner, played for India, and then became a pure batsman, batting at number 3. So who knows? His first-class average in a short first-class career is impressive with the bat. I don't know what the future holds for him. We'll see how that goes. But clearly, there's potential for him to be a pure off-spinner. He needs to do a little more work with his off-spin bowling, but there is clearly potential. And the same with the bat. So again, I'm just amazed by the talent that this guy has.
All right, let's look ahead to the next session. Now, this could very well just decide whether the length of this Test match or the eventual length of this Test match. We have seen England collapse before, Belly. There would be some sort of conversation right now with players. You think we tend to have this sort of chat after a series of, do a proper review or a post-mortem of batsmen. But are there players in this England side that are under a little bit of pressure to put in a performance to secure their place going forward? There's a big home summer coming up. Any players right now that you'd be looking at to try and maximize on what is their last batting effort on this tour?
I think this is huge innings for England. I think they want to leave doing the right things. We've seen it once in the first innings, and we didn't want to get too carried away then. But yeah, this is huge for quite a few players, I think, at the top of the order. And if they fail today and England don't bat out the day, I think there will be some big questions and some certainly looking into this batting lineup. So yeah, huge day for individuals, and they're going to be. And I think we've seen this a little bit with Best. There'll be some guys that they've got to find a way of getting in the contest with India, not fighting themselves technically or in their own mind. They've got to get in the contest. But a big day. I'd like to see Dom Sibley bat a period of time. And same with Crawley. It gets off to a good start. I think England, genuinely, when we played well, we get off to a good start. And having 2 good openers setting the platform is huge. But yeah, it's a really, really important day. I wouldn't say too much about individuals at the moment, but they'll all. I think all of them, bar Joe Root, will feel under a little bit of pressure that they haven't delivered yet on this tour what they needed to if you're a top order player in a Test match side. So, yeah, a big batting display needed for England.
Yeah, they've just not had the opening partnership all series, have they? Will wicket taking be any harder for India, Sanjay? You said that the pitch looked like, or gave us the indication that it seems to have settled a bit.
Yes, taking out the equation of who's bowling and who's batting, the pitch, and it happens very often in India on a typical Indian pitch that has a tendency to turn. It can get manageable come day 3, 4, and 5. I played in a lot of matches where, with the attempt to get an outright win in the second innings, it's ended in a draw because it was tougher to get batsmen out in the second innings. So the pitch has slowed down, looks a little more easy to handle. The last session, we saw the run rate as well for India getting up there at 4 runs and over. That was, of course, because of Rishabh Pant's impact. But there is a history of the third session being the easiest to bat, which I mentioned yesterday too. So England, if they believe they can just stretch their innings into the final session, it might just become a case of batting becoming a lot more comfortable. Plus the fact that we've got the SG test ball, which tends to get a little softer, and it will test Ashwin a little more than Akshar. So all England have to do is keep believing that they can take their innings into the final session where they can get some batting confidence back. And it's about time that people like, Sibley, Pope, and Crawley, rise to the occasion.
All right, let's pick up this chat in a couple of hours. Thank you, Sanjay Manjrekar, Ian Bell. We'll get your thoughts on ESPN Cricket for Matchday, powered by Realme X7 5G and X7 Pro 5G. Do you think this is a pretty big session for England to at least determine how long this test match goes on? They need to bat out this entire day, try and get as close to that deficit that India have managed to put on them after the second innings. And we'll see where things stand at tea time. So do join us then.